She saw the party online. She wasn't invited, but her name was already on the guest list. Security didn't question her. They stepped aside, and just like that, she was inside. The party was flawless. Soft lights,
Zara Bidato, fine
champagne
woman.
towers, carefully curated laughter.
What did she
But the
do
moment she
here,
walked in,
They get as
the
a
room
bee. I
noticed.
don't know her.
Not because she didn't belong, because they knew exactly who she was. Whispers traveled faster than music. Eyes followed her. Phones lowered, conversations paused. Across the room, the celebrant saw her and smiled, not confused, not surprised, almost relieved. Beside her stood the man who suddenly forgot how to stand comfortably. His shoulders tightened. His eyes held hers for a second too long. Recognition, regret, and something dangerously close to fear. Then the celebrant began to walk toward her. Slow, composed, in control of a room that now felt like a stage. She stopped right in front of her, looked directly at her, and said,
I'm glad you came.
And before Zara could respond, Selene reached for the microphone. She didn't realize she was being moved. Selene took her hand gently, like this was kindness, like this was welcome. But the music was already fading, and the room was already watching. Glasses paused, conversation softened, phones began to rise because something was happening. Selene turned her, not away, forward, toward them, toward the crowd, toward the moment. The podium stood beside her, waiting. Lucas stepped in, professional, neutral. He offered the microphone. Selene took it calmly, then placed it into Zara's hand, without asking, without warning. And now, the room belonged to her. Silence spread, not loud, but heavy. Zara held the microphone, still, unready. Selene stepped closer, smiling. Soft, measured. You know Adrian. The name landed. Selene looked directly at her.
Tell them how you met him.
Across the room, Adrian froze. He hadn't expected this. Their eyes met, only for a moment. Then he looked away, but it was already too late. The room leaned in, phones raised, breath held. Zara lifted the mic, and still, she didn't speak. Nobody expected her to finish that sentence. Not him, not the guests, not even Selene. Zara lifted the microphone again. The room was still waiting. We met. Silence. No music, no glasses, no movement. Across the crowd, Adrian shifted. He tried to smile. It didn't hold. He rubbed the back of his neck. Too casual, too late. They all saw it. Phones tilted. Eyes narrowed. In Lagos, silence is louder than noise, and this silence was screaming. Selene stood beside her, calm, still. She didn't interrupt. She didn't rescue him. She let the silence work. Zara, we met long before tonight. A murmur spread through the guests. Someone whispered, when? Another voice, how? Adrian finally looked up. Their eyes met. Recognition, not romance, history. The truth wasn't explosive. It was heavier than that. It wasn't about cheating. It was about erasing. Zara, softly, you knew me when no one here did. The air shifted. Now the room wasn't watching her. They were watching him. Zara lifted the mic one last time. Steady, measured, certain. Zara, not the way you think.
Not the way you think.
Because sometimes the worst thing you can expose is not what someone did, but who they pretended never existed.
I went to prison for the business that made you rich. Adrian, I went to prison for the business that made you rich. And tonight, You pretended you didn't know me.
The words landed softly, but the silence that followed spread across the entire party. Moments earlier, the night had belonged to Selene. Golden lights, music drifting across the ocean, champagne glasses raised for a celebration. Now the room stood still. People had expected drama, a jealous interruption, something messy. Instead, they heard something heavier, a past. Zara held the microphone steady, calm now, like someone who had carried a truth for years and had finally decided it no longer belonged to her alone. Years ago, she and Adrian had started the company together. Just an idea at first. Late nights, plans, belief. The contracts were written in her name. The accounts too. When the investigation came, Adrian disappeared. Zara stayed. She answered the calls. She signed the papers. She faced the charges. And eventually, she faced the sentence. Years passed behind prison walls while life outside continued, while the company survived, while Adrian rebuilt everything. Across the crowd, Adrian stood frozen. The same man
Isn't
who had
that
arrived
Adrian?
confident minutes ago now looked
He looks
smaller under the
uncomfortable.
lights. Some guests
Probably saw
exchanged
someone he
quiet
knows.
looks. A few of them had recognized
Isn't that Zara?
when she first walked in.
I don't recognize
They
her.
simply hadn't
She looks so
expected her to
familiar.
speak.
Who is she?
Zara looked at Adrian one last time, not angry, just certain. For years she had carried the story alone. Tonight she returned it. She lowered the microphone slowly and handed it back. No shouting, no scene, just truth. Then she turned and began walking away through the crowd. Selene stepped beside her and followed. The guests moved aside quietly as the two women passed. Behind them, Adrian remained standing in the center of the room. The music had returned. The lights were still warm. But the celebration felt different now, because the truth had entered the room, and it was no longer leaving. And for the first time that night, no one was watching Zara walk away. Everyone was watching him.